So for the first thing we want to do on TYT Nation, we want to start a movement called I Am Trayvon Martin. Now, other people have already done this online. God bless their hearts, and I think it's a great idea. I'm not trying to claim ownership of the idea by any stretch. We just want to help it along by getting people to do videos about it. And since we just started the website, or I should say the channel, youtube.com/TYT Nation, where we're asking for people to submit stories, we wanted to start off here. And the idea behind this is you either tell your story of how you were racially profiled, or in any way, shape, a story that reminds you of what happened to Trayvon Martin. The reason I came up with this idea is because one of the people who works on staff actually came up to me and said, something very similar happened to me, but in that case it was cops who had pulled a gun on him. And I thought it was a really powerful story. So either you can share your story or the story of someone you know. And Steve O's here with us because he has a very similar story that happened to one of his friends. Yeah. So Steve, tell us that story.
All right, first I want to start off by saying that I have always been a beneficiary of my race, my class, my appearance. I have no piercings or tattoos. I don't have long hair. So cops always gave me a break. Did I get tickets? Of course, but they almost always gave me a break or reduced whatever ticket that they could give me. So my experience with cops have always been positive. So it blew my mind when my friend told me what happened with him. I went to UCLA Law School. And a good friend of mine, he's an African American, and he and I became very close early on when we first started school because he's from New York, I'm from Jersey, and we just kind of bonded. We played on the same flag football team together, so we became good friends. And one day he was really down. I was like, "What's wrong?" Because he's a very kind of a happy, positive person, and he's like, something happened to him the night before, and he was really bummed out about it. So I asked him what happened. And he said that he was pulled over by the police. And let me give you a little background on my friend. He volunteers during the day at a legal center to help poor people get access to legal services, whether it's landlord-tenant disputes or immigration issues or they got into a car accident, didn't know what to do, whatever it may be. I mean, just kind of minor stuff that a law student can help out with. And he volunteers time there. Then he also works. At a paid job because he doesn't have that much money. Plus he goes to school. I mean, he has, he's got a lot on his plate. So when he was moving, he lived in Westwood, which is the neighborhood where UCLA is located. He was moving at night and he put all of his stuff into a U-Haul truck and he was driving it. And he got pulled over by a police officer. And the police officer was very rough with him from the very beginning and said, "Whose stuff do you have in the back of your truck?" And he said, "It's my stuff." And he goes, "Come on, get out of the car and open up the back and show me what you got." And this is where my friend made the mistake of asserting his rights. He said, "Hey, I'm a law student. I know my rights. Do you have probable cause? Why are you stopping me? Why are you bothering me?" And the cop pulls out his gun, puts it to my friend's temple, and says, "Listen to me, you fucking N-word. I will blow your fucking head off right here unless you get out of the car and show me the back. All I got to do is put a knife in your hand and say you came at me first." No one would dispute that. So shut the fuck up and open the back. So my friend got out, opened the back. The police officer looked around. He called in to the dispatch and asked if there were any incidents of robberies or burglaries. No, there wasn't. So, my friend had like picture frames of himself in there. I mean, it's obviously his stuff. So the cop let him go without giving him a ticket. And I asked my friend, I said, are you serious? I can't believe that happened. I mean, aside from the terrifying ordeal of having a gun pointed at your temple, but the second part, the humiliation, where you have to just take it and just eat that shit, and there's no recourse. There's nothing you can do. Anyway, I was furious. I don't remember ever being that angry in my life. And I said, "I'm going with you right now to the police station where I file a report. This is outrageous. How can this happen?" And he just looked at me and said, "Hey, this is the worst that's ever happened because this shit happens all the time to black people." He said, I spent half my life at the police station if I had to file a report every single time. And I just couldn't believe it. From my perspective, that had never happened. So I said, "Did you get the guy's badge number? Did you get his name?" He said, "After I saw the gun, I didn't see anything else." That's all he felt was a gun. He was terrified. And I couldn't live this down. I was so angry for so long. Anyway, my friend, he went on to become a prosecutor, and now he's a judge. I mean, he's such a good guy. He's such a stand-up guy. And I was just thinking, you know, as a non-black person, I just didn't know that world at all. I just had no idea how bad it could be. And this is happening to a clean-cut UCLA law student, a top 20 ranked law school. He's the cream of the crop for the black community. And if it happens to him, imagine what happens to everyone else in that community. And it's so deeply saddening and troubling.
Well, that's exactly why I want to do these I Am Trayvon Martin videos, because I think a lot of people are beginning to see the world through an African-American lens that they were never privy to before. If you hadn't heard that story of your friend, you would have never known. And so I think a lot of people look at that Trayvon Martin story and go, wow, really? Can that? And in fact, they're incredulous. They can't believe that it would happen.
You don't want to believe it because, honestly, if I weren't so close to him, I wouldn't have believed that story. I'm like, oh, come on, you're embellishing a little bit. You know, you're lying a little bit.
Because it seems from our perspective, since it's never happened to me or you, right? We think like we literally can't believe it. But that's what happens all the time. And so that's why I want these stories to come out so people can go, oh my God, I get it. So my perspective isn't necessarily everybody else's perspective. But it's so important that we all understand that perspective so that we can help to resolve this and get beyond it. And I think it's just a powerful case that shows it. And I hope that more people send in their stories so that everybody can learn from it.
People have to understand that. And you know, there's a privilege that comes to you in this country if you're not black. And you have to understand that if a black person is talking about being a victim of this kind of racial profiling or whatever it may be, they're not crying. They're not whining. They don't have a chip on their shoulder. They're stating a matter of fact. And you know, like I said, if it happens to the best and the brightest, it probably happens to many, many more.